Hello everybody, it's Mr. Avatar from 911. It's Adam Noyce here from Mr. Avatar 911 and or Chopper Pilot 5, depends on which site you're watching this on. It will be going up on both channels. Well, a while ago on both channels I posted a rather lengthy video describing my Godzilla book-movie. And that movie-book is called Godzilla and King Kong, The Battle of Earth. That video went into great detail, not only about the plot to it, but as well as several character developments in it, as well as what I think Godzilla needs to be. It goes into the characters of the monsters themselves, and it goes into great detail on what I'm expecting to get out of this book and what the audience is expecting to get out of watching the movie. You know, ever since I started writing it in 5th grade, I actually think it was like the 6th grade when I came up with this idea, I wanted to turn it into a series. And it was going to consist of 4 movies. King Kong and Godzilla is #1, then it goes to another film, and then another film, and then the final film in the series. And, you know, I sort of pushed it away. I pushed it away because, to tell you the plain honest truth, my heart wasn't into making 4 films of the same thing. I would work on maybe 1, 2, or 3, but I just couldn't do 4. And just my heart is so set in Godzilla and King Kong that thinking of even topping that, trying to top that with 2, 3, and 4, I didn't think it'd be possible. What else was I going to say? But, you know, then a little while ago, actually, roughly at the beginning of the school year for me, I sort of revisited that idea. And believe it or not, I think I'd be able to do it. I think I'd be able to have the heart enough to do it. You know, not just because I love Godzilla in general, but because of how many videos I've seen explaining to what people think Godzilla should be, explaining to people how awesome I've seen people explain to other YouTubers how awesome Godzilla is, and it sort of inspired me to say, okay, I think I need to do my job and to think into giving the people what they want to see for a Godzilla film. And you know, it's not just what they think a Godzilla film is. A lot of what they're saying a Godzilla film should be is what I'm saying a Godzilla film should be. Which is awesome. You know, at school I'm always laughed at for saying I like Godzilla. There's only like 3 people I know that love Godzilla, and they still don't even love it as much as I do. And, you know, when I go to YouTube and I see all these people making these videos saying, you know, Godzilla should be this, Godzilla should be that, the Godzilla 2012-13-3D is going to be awesome, because of Gareth Edwards directing it, which honestly, I'm just going to go on a tangent for that 1 minute. I'm kind of really, I pay attention to those videos explaining what it is, but don't expect me to post any videos about Godzilla 2012-13-3D. And the reason why is because I want to be left pretty much clueless when I go to watch this film. I want there to be a surprise. Now, there could be some great things to go with that. There could be some great deals to go with that. Like, I could go to the theaters and be totally mind-boggling awesome. And I could leave the theater saying, holy crap, that was the best film I have ever seen of that year. And then, or it could have major repercussions and say, oh my god, that was awful. I could watch the film and say, holy shit, that was almost as bad as the 1998 Godzilla. Which, honestly, even if they do make a bad Godzilla, which I don't think they will, nothing will be as bad as the 1998 version. So in case you've missed my first video talking about Godzilla and King Kong, The Battle of Earth, please check out the link that I will put in the description below. And watch that. Watch it all the way through, which might take you a while, but just watch it all the way through, because I do bring up some good points, and I do bring up some points of issues that I think every Godzilla film should bring up. Okay, so enough about that. I'm going to throw that out the window. Now I'm going to be talking about my 3 other books that I want to make. Well, I'm going to fix that. I do want to make them into books, and I think I'm going to make them into books just like I've done with Godzilla and King Kong, and therefore use that book as a basis for the script, the screenplay of the film that I want to make. And so that's what I'm going to wind up doing with the next 3 films. The first film, I'm going to be completely honest, I don't really know what I'm going to use for a title. My original title for it was Godzilla 2054. But then I thought again, that is way too far ahead in the future for me to continue the series. And I decided that I want to save that 54 for the last entry in my Godzilla series. The first film, it jumps to either 8 or 9 years later, and the new President of the United States is... Now, given this, I haven't even wrote an outline for this yet. These are just ideas that have been in my head and have been plastering away at me. It jumps to 8 or 9 years later, and the new President of the United States is Major McTavish from... I think it's General McTavish. Major McTavish from Godzilla and King Kong, which was the character I want to play. And what has happened in those 8 years is that almost like a new Cold War has started between Russia and America. And the reason for that being is that America has tons of leftover G-cells from the epic battle between Kong and Godzilla at the end of the film. So there's tons of G-cells scattered all over the rubble of Manhattan, which is just a complete radioactive wasteland. I almost use it as a basis from Chernobyl in Russia, that it's still guarded by tons of Russia military forces and everything. You're not allowed to go into the city. So that's how I'm approaching Manhattan, is that it's surrounded and you're not allowed to go in there. And probably a good thing too, because it's still highly, highly dangerously radioactive. And during that period of time, the film begins with these soldiers that are picking up G-cells, and scientists that are picking up these Godzilla cells, these huge chunks of Godzilla's skin that are left all over the place from the epic fight between Kong and Godzilla. And these soldiers come across it, and they put some in a jar, marked G-cells. And the scientists run over to the corner, and they say, "Who the hell are you? You're not supposed to be here with us." And then a few other American Army soldiers come across, and then they're Russian soldiers, and they just start shooting everywhere, trying to save their own skins. And they run into this. They are chased by the military, by the American military, into the subway stations and everything left from the destruction of Manhattan. And that's where they come across Alan Shepard, Julie, Colleen, Ryan Martin's girlfriend, and his son Jimmy, and they're all dead. The place is full of dead people because of the amount of radiation that was dispersed from the ending of Godzilla and King Kong, and when Godzilla went supernova, which I'm not really going to explain because I want it to be a mystery in Godzilla and King Kong, that the radiation was so immense that people just died. The military couldn't do nothing to save them. The military couldn't have helped them at all. In fact, all the military units that were there were going to die. Everybody in that secret underground base was going to die. Major McTavish, now President of the United States, was the only person who was able to live because of the fact that he got out in time. Him and Major Shelburne got out in time before the shit hit the fan. So anyways, I'm going to jump back to that. And the Russians make it away. And when they make it into Russia, there is this Russian scientist who is absolutely in love with his assistant. Not in like a freaky kind of way, but, you know, they love each other. And what happens is that they are giving these G cells, and the Russian president goes up to that man and says, "Okay, here's what I want you to do. With this jar of G cells, I want you to make a weapon that can make us a superpower and kick America out of the spotlight." And so he's offered all kinds of money, and it's an offer he can't refuse. He doesn't really want to do it. That's one thing that his character, one thing that I want to get across with his character. I don't even know his name yet. He's a person who wants to do good. He wants to do great for the world. He wants to unlock scientific mysteries that are still left in the universe. But he needs money to do it. And when he gets this offer he can't refuse and gets all this money to do it, he does it. And he winds up paying for it in the end. Now, anyways, what winds up happening, he starts playing around with these G cells, and what winds up happening is he doesn't do much with it. Or the things that he discovers aren't very important, and the Russians start getting impatient. The Russian government start getting impatient with him, and so they're putting pressure on him, saying you got to do this, you got to do it by this deadline, you got to do this, you got to do that, and then by accident now he crosses some G cells with a rosebud cell. He crosses a G cell with a rosebud cell and realizes that that plant is now alive. And so he brings it to the Russian military. The Russian military are like, holy crap, that's awesome! And they start paying him even more money to go use this, which is just driving him nuts because he doesn't want to do it. And then one day when they were going up into the Arctic, where a Russian base is, on a submarine, and then what winds up happening is that a terrorist blows up. I'm not sure what nationality the terrorist will be, but my idea was that these G cells are so important that people are willing to kill themselves or even kill to get their hands on it. And so the terrorist blows aside into the submarine where it sinks. Only a few get away. And in that process, the seed gets away. And then that seed, now it's a plant. And it goes down and it hits the western bank of the United States. Now totally rebuilt. Now totally rebuilt from that meteor crash at the beginning of G and KK. And it takes a while for our government to suddenly notice that some shit is going down. And so the scientist is one of the characters that makes it away, and he looks in shock. He goes back to Russia, explains what happens. The Russians say, don't do anything to go to America and tell them about what is going on. Now then there's this general from Russia who's like, no, we gotta warn them because this weapon could wind up destroying the entire western half of the United States again. And so,